It is estimated that currently over 30,000 people, out of a population of about 85,000 folks who reside in the San Pedro area, are of Croatian heritage.
Wow. Look at this.
But why? We'll find out today on PCZ TV. PCZ TV. First, a warning. I will try to pronounce Croatian locations and names. Try being the operative word. And now, time for some history. So Croatia. We'll just do the Cliff Note version as it is a super long and complicated history. Skip to this time mark if you just want to watch the San Pedro section. First, where the heck is it? Croatia is currently a country in the Northwest Balkan Peninsula. Think of it sort of like across the pond from Italy. Second, the history. Well, now it's an independent country, but we're going to go back in time over the centuries and trace its roots, starting roughly as its own kingdom in 925. Then as the kingdom of Croatia and Dalmatia, but in a relationship with the Hungarian king in 1102. Then part of the Habsburg Dominion with the Habsburg crown ties in 1527. Then controlled by the Venetians. And then under French rule, specifically Napoleon. And then the Kingdom of Croatia and Slovenia under control of the Habsburgs. Okay, now it's confusing. I'm totally lost. So let's jump ahead to just after World War I, where it was the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes, which just rolls off the tongue. No wonder it was renamed Yugoslavia. And then things stabilized until World War II. And then the Nazis invaded. And then, after World War II ended, it found itself under control of the Soviets and became Socialist Yugoslavia in 1945 under Tito. No, not the vodka, but the dictator. And there it sort of remained until the Independence Declaration in 1991, which then triggered the Croatian War of Independence. Alas, that was not exactly smooth sailing. But in 1995, the Civil War ended, which then let them move to join NATO in 2009, and then become an EU member state in 2013, and finally, in 2023, they adopted the euro and the border-free Schengen area? Did I say that right? Okay, I'm not gonna lie. That's a lot, and I'm sure I really missed some of the important bits. But now that we have the basics down, let's focus on Croatians in the U.S., as the U.S. has the largest Croatian diaspora in the world. The first wave of significant U.S. immigration from Croatia dates to the late 1890s and continued into the 1930s. At this time, in fact, all of Europe was in the doldrums. In Croatia, Dalmatia was the poorest region where there were two major industries, wine and fishing. On the wine side, phylloxera devastated the harvest. And on the fishing side, it was politics that devastated the harvest, with a deal between Italy and the Austro-Hungarian Empire that named Italy the official supplier of seafood to the empire, which, until then, the seafood was imported from Dalmatia. So immigration began. But why to California? Well, when you look at the temperate regions of the world, you can see that both Dalmatia and California have ocean-bordering Mediterranean-style climates, which was hard for me to say, which is both good for wines and good for access to the sea. So it makes sense that San Pedro being one of the large fishing ports in California, attracted immigrants arriving to find jobs in fishing and cannery work industries. In fact, one of the world's best-known brands of tuna, Star-Kissed, has its roots in San Pedro's Croatian community. In 1917, Croatian immigrants Ivo Mirković, James Mirković, Martin J. Bodanović, and Nick Vilcic, and I said some of their name wrong, so I apologize, founded the French Sardine Company of California. But soon the sardine population was overfished up and down the coast, so the locals turned to the Japanese fishermen of Terminal Island to help steer their attention towards tuna. Now, new canning processes were developed to diminish the pungency of tuna, and tuna became promoted for its blandness and was thus embraced by Americans. Blandness. Hard to believe now, given the current American palate and the cost of tuna at a sushi bar. Oh, interestingly, the cannery workers were mainly immigrants. Japanese, Croatian, and Italian, who all worked side by side. And for more history specifically of the Japanese fishermen, see this video, as they wouldn't be working side by side anymore, as they would all be interned at the start of World War II. So back to the French sardine, or should I say Star-Kissed, as they changed their name to Star-Kissed in 1942. Charlie the tuna was introduced in 1962. And as for the cannery itself, operations ceased in 1984, and as of the filming of this video, the factory still sits vacant. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so we're going to go back to San Pedro and back to 1958 as the roots of the Croatian American Club was formed. In 1967, a Croatian soccer club, SC San Pedro Croat, was established. In 1972, the Croatian club purchased the Croatian Hall that sits today on 9th Street in San Pedro. But not all was well within the community, because, you guessed it, just like the tensions we've seen in the home country of Croatia, there were similar tensions within the Croat Angelino community, with some who favored independence and those who favored Yugoslav unity. Once Croatia declared its independence from Yugoslavia in 1991, some of the political tensions from back home were brought overseas with the second immigration wave through the early 90s, while the Bosnia and Herzegovina war raged. Now, this was reflected by a small divide between the Croat American Club, which favored Croatia's independence, and the Yugoslavia American Club, now known as the Dalmatian American Club. On a happier note, a stretch of 9th Street in San Pedro was named Croatian Place in 2003 by the LA City Council. And I would be remiss if I didn't call out some of the other famous Croats from San Pedro, perhaps the most famous being Vincent Tomasevic, who represented San Pedro in the 1940s in the California State Assembly. And if that name isn't familiar with you, he for years lobbied for a bridge to be built between the port terminal and San Pedro. And when the bridge was finally constructed, it was given his Americanized name, the Vincent Thomas Bridge. On the automotive side, you have Gary Gablich. Sorry, Gary. The race car driver who set the land speed record with their rocket car Blue Flame in 1974. Unfortunately, he died at the age of 43 in 1984 after a traffic collision.
But wait! There's more!
And finally, yes, let's not forget the animals. The Dalmatian dog is named after the Dalmatian province in Croatia. Given that, I'm not sure why it's not the official dog breed of San Pedro. But even more surprising to me is that there are really no dedicated Croatian restaurants in San Pedro. When I asked Yelp, all I got was a generic Mediterranean restaurant, definitely not Croat. If you are aware of anything, let me know in the comments below because I want to try some Croatian food. It's amazing to me that San Pedro has retained such a concentration of Croats given how mobile folks are these days. I think it's pretty cool. But the story is not all about history. For the upcoming 2028 Olympics, the local community has partnered with Croatia to create a Croatia House athlete headquarters, described as a dedicated home away from home for visiting Croatian Olympic athletes and dignitaries. Now, if you've been watching this far, I thank you. If you're interested in South Bay history, perhaps videos on food or cars or surfing, feel free to watch my other videos. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And now, most importantly, my disclaimers. And apologies for my pronunciations.